All right, we've now completed the measurements for the fourth exercise in the psychrometry unit lab session. And this was the exercise with steam injection and also cooling. Before I talk about those numbers, though, I want to talk about one other instance where I misspoke. And this was a couple of video segments back. I was showing you how to fill up the reservoirs for the wet bulb temperature measurements. That's the glass tube that's around the wick. And we fill that up, reach in through a little opening in the plexiglass that can be plugged, and we fill that up with a squirt bottle. And I think I got mixed up between stations B, C, and D, something like that. Totally doesn't matter, but if you caught it in that video segment and you were confused, it was my fault. I apologize for that. So for this last test, again with the cooling, the temperature measurements at stations A and B were both fairly similar to what they have been. Station A is the inlet to the wind tunnel. We're bringing in ambient air from the lab, so it's still roughly the same, about 22.8 degrees Celsius dry bulb and 11.9 wet bulb. Same thing at station B, which is also very close to the inlet. Then at station C, which is just downstream from the steam injection manifold, the dry bulb has gone up a couple of degrees because of the steam, but most importantly, the wet bulb has gone way up because we've increased the relative humidity, therefore the temperature difference between the two is not as much. Then station D is immediately past the cooling unit, and both temperatures went down from there. The dry bulb went down very dramatically to 15.8 Celsius. The wet bulb went down to 14.8, so now they're very close. We're about 100% relative humidity there. 100% is when the wet bulb and the dry bulb are equal. And then those lower temperatures carried through to station E, close to the discharge. Okay, so there is that data. And I turned the temperature display unit to show the temperature of the expansion valve. This is where the magic of the refrigeration cycle occurs. Okay, right in here. And that temperature is 6.4 Celsius. The longer we run this, the colder that will get. And sometimes when we've let this run for a very long time, we actually get ice build up here. We don't need to run it that much for the purposes of this lab session. So for the next exercise, we're going to keep the steam injection on, we're going to keep the cooling on, and we're going to turn on the reheaters. So we'll do that and let this run for a bit more, and then record those data points as well.